This is real-life conversation with the voice of the North.
This is Night Owls with Alan Robson.
Call 0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, you know, we were asking for anti-Oscars. These are your version of the Oscars, things you're good at. Now, I can tell you that Jo, who lives in Trimden, says that she should win an Oscar for carrying off the best little pair of white shorts as opposed to any other female that she's ever seen. She sent a picture. She looks very cute, and I must admit she would certainly get nominated in my opinion. For the wearing of the best small white shorts, Jo from Trimden is a definite nomination. However, the one that I'm going to give an award to immediately is Gillian, because she sent, again, photographic proof of this. She says, Alan, I should get an Oscar because I make the best pea and ham soup with dumplings in the world. Everybody loves it. And I must admit, I can see it in the pan, and it looks absolutely sensational. And I'm very peckish. And there you go. So consider yourself an Oscar winner, Gillian. Congratulations to you. Let us go and get our first caller on tonight. It's Paul from Cramlington. Hi, Paul.
Hello, Alan, you all right?
I'm good, mate. What you got for me tonight, then?
Well, it's on about the Cooperage again.
Yes, do tell.
And I was asked what I thought about it, the situation.
Yes.
And as far as I can see, it's a stalemate. The apartment group are not going to do anything. The council are not going to do anything. And in my view, the council should push for a compulsory purchase order.
Why have they said that? Because we were hearing only about 2 months ago, we're looking at plans now, we were hearing. What happened to all of that?
Nothing's appeared, has it?
No.
Nothing's appeared. And I mean, my point of view is, if North Tyneside Council can eventually, and I mean eventually, get the money together to do it with Spanish City, and they've done a great job down there.
They have.
And they did up Dunstan Stairs.
Mm-hmm.
They got the money to do Dunstan Stairs up.
I mean, that was a hacky, nasty mess down there.
Yeah, I mean, basically it was just a thing where they chucked coal onto ships.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they got the money to get that done up.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all historical. They're all local history. And, you know...
This doesn't... I just get the impression from local politicians in general that they don't care about the cooperage in the same way. They look at the stairs as historical. You know, we've got to keep them, you know, so that we can tell our children and our children's children. Mm-hmm. What is it you think about? Was it because it was like a rock, punk and indie venue? Is that the reason that they don't care so much about it?
But I don't know. I mean, I did used to go when it was a rock, punk and indie venue.
Right, no, I bet.
I've got no idea, but it's got a lot more heritage. It's a lot older.
Sure.
And I've heard that they'll never get a licence to be a bar again. Well, so what? They could open it up as a heritage centre.
Yeah, a museum of some kind even.
Put a little museum in about what it used to be, what used to be happening all along the quayside.
Right.
They could put a cafe downstairs.
Uh-huh. No, what I always thought for it, you know, and this sounds utterly simple, but it just, if you look at it kind of makes sense. If you look along the quayside, it's all super modern, swishy, clean, tidy.
Yeah.
Apartments, flats.
That's another point I'll bring up in a bit.
Food.
Yeah.
It's got everything you need for a lovely night down. And the bridge is all lighting up and stuff. All of that's good. Mm-hmm. And yet, the cooperage sticks out because it's not any of that. Yeah. So I thought, why don't you turn it into a traditional, old-fashioned in-stroke cafe serving all of the food.
Geordie food.
From back in the day when it was, you know, when it was a place being used as a tavern, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just thought, I can picture people wearing the old-fashioned outfits.
Yeah.
And, okay, you're not going to have throbbing music kicking it left, right and centre because they've built apartments right the way around it, which would always cause a problem.
Yeah.
But you could have some nice little ambient background music, or old-fashioned music from medieval times, and flutes and whistles, and there's any number of things you could do.
Yeah,
with it.
I mean, they do things like that at Beamish.
Yes.
Why can't they do it down there? I mean, the little part next door, the part next door, which was, well, it was always part of the Cooperage when it was a bar. Why don't they stick a chippy in there? There's no chippies down on the Fish Quay. On the Newcastle Quayside.
No, that's true. That is true.
They've got all these lovely walks. They've done it all up. Traditional fish and chip shop.
Old-fashioned Geordie food, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds that it's made for it. And you could have in there all the kind of northeastern collectibles from back in the day right up to the present time.
Yeah, exactly. And it could tell the whole story of the Newcastle Quayside. I mean, you've got Bessie Surtees' house further up, which I think is English heritage.
It is, absolutely.
If they can save that, why not the Cooperage? I mean, there's multiple options you could put in there.
You see, my worry about this, and it's been my worry for the longest time, is that that a little bit further along from the Cooperage, there's been 2 or 3 fires of old buildings.
That was the point I was going to bring up. The bonded warehouses.
The bonded warehouses, we're going to save them, we're going to turn them into this, we're going to turn them into that.
That was my next point.
All of a sudden there's a fire.
Yeah. You had the ones down next to Barleymoor, all of a sudden.
Yep.
Fires.
Yeah.
What happened? Apartments went up.
Yeah.
You had the ones opposite the Copthorne. What happened? Fires. Apartments went up.
Absolutely.
Now, my worry is that the Cooperage could be the next one to have a mysterious fire.
Well, you see, if you think about it, if they're unoccupied and there's nobody using a building that's mainly made of wood, it's not rocket science that they're open for a vandal that might do X, Y, or Z. And I know you're hinting it might be more than a vandal, but to be honest, all we can say is those previous ones, as far as we know, were burnt down by kids or lighting fires in an empty building.
I would never say it was anything worse than vandals. I'm not going to drop myself in it, but I've got my thoughts.
Sure, no,
and lots of other people have.
Do you? Because you see, I've been thinking about this a lot because I love the Cooperage, as anybody that's listened knows. It's just you look along the whole row from the county courts on, right the way up to past you pass the Millennium Bridge, and then you come to the bottom of the Tyne Bridge, and you go up the hill, and it's all pretty modern and squishy clean. Is it just because that bit is the only bit that's not? And if it's not, and I understand why it's not, because nobody's doing any damn thing with it, but deep down, would the council not like it all to be squishy clean and no hassle?
Well, I don't get that, because you go a bit further along and you go up the bank and you've got the Indians.
Yes.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, I suppose.
So why not carry it on? Like I say, they could make it into they could make it into a cafe, they could stick a chip shop in next door.
Right.
I mean, look at the refurb they've done on North Shields Fish Quay. Marvellous.
That's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Because the industry went, so they brought in what's going to bring people there. There's no way you can get fish and chips on Newcastle Quayside, so why not put a chippy in? It's an option.
No, it's an option. And also, if you've got an old building that needs to be made safe first, but then repaired, and I could see that being a bit of a money trap, because you could spend an awful lot of money on it just to get it basically right. But to be honest, if you asked a couple of professional builders to go in there and say, look, you've got 3 months and 50 grand, they could make an awful lot of changes. They could, they could really turn that about, putting in stud walls and getting rid of the old barn, putting a new one in. They could do a lot of positive things and make it a display area where people can come and
learn about it.
Use the background as a historical lesson. Schools could come and find out all about the Great Fiery Gate set and all of the things that most people don't know a damn thing about.
I mean, I used to work for a building services company where they used to do like restorations of old buildings,
right?
And they did do some on the quayside and that,
right?
So why can't they do that?
Well,
That's my question.
No, absolutely. But my argument also is you've got a company that owns it that's promised to do something with it.
Yeah, and they're not.
And they're sitting on their hands. How long do you wait, though? How long?
Exactly.
Do you know, there's something that I don't understand as well, and I don't know whether you've ever... Yeah, You'll see when you're driving around, just keep your eyes open for old buildings, like old farm buildings, like old barns even. They're not used by the farm, but the farmer doesn't sell them. He just lets all the tiles fall off the roof.
Yeah.
He lets a hole come in the wall where the window used to be. And you're thinking, that's like $100,000 to sell to somebody to build a property on, you know? And yet they just let them just
drop the bits.
How can you make more money by letting them fall apart rather than putting them? I don't understand. It doesn't make any kind of financial sense. And yet when I drive in, just from the borders, I pass about 8 or 9 buildings that are up against the side of the road, falling to bits that nobody's doing up, and you're thinking, is there some kind of tax thing you get for a building falling down? Or
well, yeah, that's what you've got to look at. I mean, I was up Mull quite a few years ago, and I've got all these bloody little bossy things dropping to bits.
Yeah.
And I used to work as an interior designer.
Right.
And I was looking at them thinking, you could do them up as glamping places.
Sure, definitely.
You wouldn't have to put a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
Stick a wood burner in. This, that, and the other. Make it sort of a glamping place.
Yeah.
And they're just dropping the bits.
I just don't. I haven't worked out what there's got to be some kind of fiddle, otherwise, because farmers aren't daft.
Oh, aye.
So
no, they're not.
So I can't imagine them saying, "Well, we'll let that. I let that £100,000 asset drain down." You know.
Yeah.
So what's the scam? What's the deal?
There's got to be something going on. They'll be getting grants or something for.
Yeah, maybe.
Letting them gone.
I don't know. I haven't worked that out, but maybe the cooperage falls under something similar. It's just if I had an asset that was falling apart, I'd flog it.
Exactly.
You move it on, let somebody get in there that wants to do something with it.
Yeah, exactly. At least get some money back from your return.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And if you've decided that you're not going to get any money back from that, and it's a money trap, give it to somebody. Give it to somebody and walk away.
Exactly. There's something going on, and I think, Alan, you want to contact. I was telling your producer earlier.
Yeah.
When he got in touch with us, I think you want to get in touch with some of the councillors and find out what their opinion is,
right? And
see if you can get them on.
Love to
talk to it.
We'll make those calls within the next couple of days. No problems. Paul, thank you very much for caring. Appreciate it.
No bother.
Thanks, man. All the best.
You're okay. Cheers.
There you go. Very soon we're going to be talking to Dave in South Shields. But just before that, you know, we've been talking about us being the greatest hits and being the voice of the stars. Well, we have a piece of music that is quite superb. And here's Brian May to tell you a little bit about it.
Well, there's a lot to say about Killer Queen. It was made at a time when I was almost dying of stomach problems. I was in hospital in the middle of the recording of that album, during which time, although we'd recorded together the beginnings of Killer Queen, the boys went in and did some harmonies. And I remember they brought it in for me to hear in hospital, and I went, it's really good, but it sounds very abrasive. You know, perhaps we ought to just sort of make things sound a little more rounded in the vocal harmony department. So Freddie said, you're absolutely right, Brian said, and we will do it again when you get better. So you better damn well get better.
Very special. Bit of Killer Queen there, and why the devil not? Dave from South Shields is up next. Hello, David.
Hello, Alan. How are you?
Good. I'm good, man. Thank you very much. I gather you've got a medical story for me.
Yeah, just briefly. I had occasion to go to the doctors last week. I won't go into that why, but
all right.
It's the usual story nowadays. You know, you go and you see whoever's available, sort of thing.
Yeah, awful.
And my first thought was I went in, And I thought, God, he's just changed his pampers before I've come in, you know?
Really?
Because they all seem to be so young.
Yeah,
And
he's about
whatever.
17-year-old with a spotty face and stuff, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. But, and everything is sort of like either they'll send you for a blood test or give it a fortnight, and if it's not better, come back.
Right.
And they just ain't got the experience or the sort of guile that the older fashioned doctors used to. And what I'm thinking of is, in my 40s, I think it was in my 40s, it's a long time ago, obviously, but I had an occasion where I had a really bad dose of the Harry Styles.
Right.
So I went along to the doctors, and it was the usual, I see, right, go and bend over the examination table and rock your trousers. You know, and you think, no, this is great. And he had a look up, and he's sort of saying, well, oh, yes, they're badly inflamed. He says, well, we'll give you some suppositories, and I'll give you this high-fibre liquid that you can have.
Right.
It's like industrial strength syrup of figs, basically, I think it was.
Right.
And then he said, try this and come back in a week. If it hasn't worked, we'll book you in for an operation to have your anus widened.
Whoa.
And at that moment, Alan, all I could see was this surgeon with a green mask on, a big mallet in one hand, and these wooden wedges in the other hand, you know?
Right.
Thinking,
Blimey.
no, I do not need that. So I went away and I had the suppositories and the sort of syrup of figs.
Yeah.
And a week later, I'm not kidding, I danced into the surgery, did a couple of cartwheels and finished with the splits and said, Doc, you're a miracle worker.
Oh, as if you would. Oh, because, you know, when I was a kid working at one of the jobs I did before I got into radio, probably one of the jobs as a clerk, one of the blokes came in and he was a sizable, about 6'6" and pretty wide, big bloke. And he says, he'd been off for like 6 weeks. And I said, you've been off ages, are you all right? And he says, oh, I'm much better now. And he'd had exactly what you've just been talking about, this widening. And what he said, now, you never know when you hear somebody describing what's being done to them, whether it's true or whether they're exaggerating or whatever. But what he said was that there was 2 ways to deal with hemorrhoids as bad as the ones that he had, and they'd apparently tried tying like knots around thread around the hemorrhoids super tight until they turn black and fall off. Now, this doesn't sound scientific to me. You know, have you got a bob and a thread? Bend over. I mean, it just doesn't. To me, it's just that's not medicine 2020 as far as I'm concerned. However, he said, but that wasn't possible. So what they do is they use this tool that they put inside your anus, and then they open it up like an umbrella, right?
Oh, God.
And apparently, instead of having like canvas around the bits, it's sharp cutting tools essentially, and they go like they pull it, taking off all of the hemorrhoids on both sides of the anus. And I'm thinking, he was off 6 weeks. If that had been done to me, you wouldn't see me for 6 years after something like that. Because that just, it doesn't sound like, it's like Victorian torture. It's not a thing that's going to help you. And I remember once years ago, I had the same kind of thing. I was running one day, like jogging through the woods, and my shorts kept hitting something on my bottom, and I'm thinking, what the hell? Put my hand round like you do, because we're blokes, and there's a big lump. Went to the doctors, and the doctor said, oh, that's a horrible... You're going to need an operation to get rid of that. It's huge. And I went away and I said, the hell with that. That's just... But isn't the worst and most humiliating thing when you're there's another bloke that you don't know very well. In my case, I just met him. Sounds like in your case, you just met him too. You're lying over his desk with your pants around your ankles, wondering what he's going to do. That's embarrassing, right there.
Oh, it is. I mean, I've had my prostate examined as well, which is a very similar sort of process. And it is. It's not something you really want to go through.
No. No.
But it does show to me that the old doctors, I mean, I'm sure when he said to me, you're going to have an operation to do this, that, and to that, I think it's some kind of like psychological treatment. Because, you know, you go away and you think, I'm going to be better before I go about there.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. But you know, when you were saying that you felt that some of the younger doctors, it's almost like they're being a doctor by numbers almost. And I've thought this for a while, because I don't know about you, but there's a couple of programs on a computer that you can go to, and you put in whatever your symptoms are. Oh, I've got a temperature, bit of a sore throat, my nose is running, got a cough, and it comes up with the top 10 suggestions as to what you've got. And when you see doctors, when you're talking to them, they're typing all this stuff in the computer. It wouldn't surprise me if they're just using that program.
Yeah, well, this is it. But the thing is, when you go, if you mention that you've looked it up on the internet, they tell you, oh, don't do that, you know, it's this, that, and to that. And there's a lot of crunks on the internet with that. And then you see them looking up the same thing.
No,
and I mean, some of the things you look up, Alan, you know, I mean, you put the symptoms in, like you say. I mean, you know, it comes up with an answer saying you'll be dead before you get an appointment with the doctor, you know?
Yeah, I got myself the Reader's Digest book of family health or something it's called, and it's got a symptoms sorter in there. So again, you put all you have a look in. Oh, if you've got a cough, go to B32. Oh, it could be pneumonia, it could be the flu, could be. And if you've got them, then you go to, and it sees you how you're supposed to look after it yourself. And in 9 out of 10 of them, if you follow that all the way through, you're in a cemetery by the time you get to the last page. It is something we shouldn't look at. That's for sure. So how's the Hems? How are the grapes of wrath? Are they gone forever?
I've had recurring ones a few times over the years, but touch wood, the come and go kind of thing.
Yeah, because I was told that as long as you didn't like strain when you went for to the loo, that you should be all right. So do you know what makes them return?
Not really, no. I think it's just, I think once you've had them, I think probably because they're just basically like varicose veins in that area, aren't they?
Right.
I think once you've had them, I think the sort of the walls of the veins are probably weakened and you're likely to get recurring, you know. I mean, I'd try not to dwell on it. I mean, unless they really bother us or anything like that.
No, just tell the nation on a Sunday now. I don't dwell on it. We've been talking about your bum enough. David, thank you very much for coming on. Top call.
Problem,
Thanks, man. All the best.
Thanks a lot now.
Tremendous. And I'm diving straight across to Nikki, who's in Carlisle. Hi, Nikki.
Are you all right?
Good to talk to you. I gather things are hellish where you are at the moment.
Yeah, just I live, well, I'd say a quarter of a mile off a bridge that's going to overflow very soon.
So, will this, presumably, are you above it or below it?
At the minute, I'm in line with it. If it gets any worse, if the rain doesn't stop, then we're going to be flooded.
Jeebus. So what are you doing around the house? I mean, are you... Because everybody says, well, all you do is you put your sandbags... Well, I don't know about you, but I haven't got any sandbags.
I haven't got any sandbags.
So I don't know how you're gonna cut it. This is terrifying.
It's quite nervous, but I mean, we've had floods quite a few times over the years.
Right.
So we're just going to try and get everything upstairs, but I've got 2 little kids as well, so it's not any easier.
No, I presume, but getting your electrical stuff, I mean, for like a fridge full of food, unplugged and upstairs, hell, that must be incredibly difficult.
We're just trying to make sure we've got everything ready, so if anything does happen, then we're prepared for it.
So you're going to be up all night, though, with it, that's for sure, because the rain's apparently not looking likely to stop anytime soon.
We've got a high tide due at 12:10. So
oh, jeepers, that's just...
Keep an eye on what's happening with that.
So, I mean, the last time that this happened, was the downstairs ruined?
It was a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was quite bad. Well, tried to build the flood defences and it's pushing the river higher. So,
is there nobody there? You know, because people must be aware that the bridge is getting to a point where.
Oh yeah, all the police supports have moved off around where I live, and the environment agencies are shutting all the flood bridges and things like that.
And how many other people will be involved? I mean, you're not a house on your own. I presume there'll be a few there, are there?
No, it's me, my partner, my two kids in the house. I mean, we're in a quite built-up area, so it's not just us.
No, so if you get it, everybody's going to get it.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, when you saw the weather coming over, I don't know about you, but I live up on the Scottish borders, and the wind was just terrific. It really was. You thought there was a twister coming. I expected a cow to fly past the window, but like in that film. But I listened to all of that, and then you think, no, we'll be all right this time, because it's always somebody else that ends up to their waist in water. Hell's teeth. I hope it's not you, Nick.
I hope so too.
Right. Hey, well, thank you very much. I know you want to get back and take care of business. Good luck to you.
Problem.
Stay safe, for heaven's sake. Good luck to you, man.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. Has anybody else ever got into that situation where they've been flooded? And how soon does it take for you to get floorboards dried out and all that kind of thing? 01914 888 3188. Whatever you want to talk about, I would love to talk to you. Pick up your phone and let's get busy.
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
So pick up your telephones and give us a call if you have. Do you have a question like how old your doctors happen to be? I've been with some that you think you've just left high school, haven't you? You're probably still going back there at weekends just to bone up. But do tell the kind of treatment that you get from doctors nowadays, and also the thing I used to be able to, when I was a kid, I would see the same doctor every time I went to the doctors because I know in many cases other people had a she, but my doctor was a he. I saw him every time. The fact that I knew I had an appointment with him made me feel better because I trusted him. So my question to you is it the same? How do you feel about it? What kind of things have they made you do? And this is a call from back in the day, very similar to what we've just been talking about.
Hang on. You're in a room. Your pants are down by your ankles. You're bent over this man's couch and he wants you to relax your hoop.
That's right, You see, we really kept on saying, because he says you're going to have to relax your bum because the picture will come out wrong. But as soon as you stuck the needle on, like, it's natural, you just, because it is hurt, and you just clench up, you know?
Right, so your bulldog tattoo now has kind of a weird expression, does he? He's a bit more wrinkled than he should have been.
Beautiful sound as well. Jackie Wilson said that. And we have a few other people trying to get on about various things. Jack from Ashington contacted the programme late on last week after we'd done the blah. And one of the stories that we read out was from the Financial Times. And Jack from Durham thinks that the article on Nissan was deceiving because it was basically saying that it had been lied to by the government and there was a possibility if they didn't sell as many in Britain that they would have to move to Europe to sell to them. And yet Jack says, it actually says they're going to try and increase productivity at Sunderland by 50% and sell exclusively to the UK market. It would end up being totally opposite and means they'll sell double the amount they sell now. I stand corrected, Jack, because I was headline surfing. If he's been into the article and knows more about it than me, I will certainly stand back. Now, if that's the case, though, isn't that what they were trying to do before Brexit? which was sell as many to the UK as they can, and they sold a lot, but mostly to Europe. And do you really think that Britain will buy 50% more Nissans because they're in Britain rather than buying the BMW they wanted or the Audi or the, pick a car title? I don't know, but I think it's a leap of faith. If anybody can do it, the guys at Nissan can, no question about that. And we wish them well, but just goes to show how deceiving some of these newspapers and the articles can be. Now, many moons ago, we had Ash from North Shields. Ash is no longer in North Shields. Ash is in Scotland. We're going there in a second. But first things first, got to share with you our first clue. Now, let me give you a hint of what we're seeking tonight. I'm going to give you 4 clues. Each clue is a song title. You've got to work out the name of the 4 song titles and tell me who had a hit with them all. All of the hits were by the same person. You've got to work it out. The first clue: what Davy Crockett and the men of the Alamo refused to do. Okay? What Davy Crockett and the men of the Alamo refused to do. That's your first clue. The answer is a song title. What song title? Write it down. By the time you get all 4, you should have worked out the name of the superstar who we are seeking. Name that superstar, and you could win the Night Owls mug, the Blinded by the Light DVD, and 1,000 games for your computer. 1,000 games. Arcade games, board games, sports games, casino games, puzzle games, card games, word games, games of every sort. If you want all of this, all you got to do is try and work it out, okay? So the first clue, what Davy Crockett and the men of the Alamo refused to do. Write down the answer to that if you've got any idea at all. Meanwhile, let's go and see Ash in Scotland. Hi, Ash.
Hello.
Hello, mate. What's happened? Have you done a Steve McQueen on a motorbike and leapt over Hadrian's Wall?
Way donkeys ago, though. I think it was after, I think it was when I got the 3 Led Zeppelin albums off you.
Right,
blimey. Standing up to me mate's wedding, and then I ended up staying here, and then next thing I know I'm living here and got a band and all that, and sorted it out. But I've just been sorting things out in Glasgow because we're doing an EP. So
fantastic.
Aye, so far so good. But last thing you want, right? I was listening. It's been ages since I've listened.
Right.
And I think the last thing you'd want is grapes if you've got hemorrhoids. You know how people send grapes into hospitals? If you've got them, you'd just be like, are you taking the mick? Get him back. Yeah, but no, it's mad. I did a bit of a Steve McQueen, definitely, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you just went up and hung out with your pals, and then decided, I'm going to go back and get me stuff, and that's it.
They were me old. It was my old band that I was in back in Newcastle, and then I split off and did my own thing, and then I ended up coming up to their wedding, and obviously one thing led to another. I ended up living here, and now I've got a missus and a Ben, a new one on the way, and I'm still doing music.
Great.
Aye, I know.
So when's the EP coming out then?
Should be in at least 2 weeks, hopefully.
Right, well, that's tremendous.
Because we're going to go back and do a music video and all that, and then play a gig. But we're going to play, I reckon, the Howlin' Wolf in Glasgow, I think.
Right, brilliant.
Yeah, that should be all right.
I was going to say, because Glasgow's got a great music scene. They've got lots of places to play.
Aye, well, that's it. I mean, I'm staying in Kirriemuir at the minute, so it's it's home of Bon Scott and all that.
Sure.
So he was born and raised around here and then got sent off to Australia.
Sure.
But they've got a thing called Bon Fest, and we've played there loads. We're opening up and finished last year, so
right.
That was funky.
No, I was going to say, you're doing well, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't even get the chance.
Aye, but I've missed the Night Owls, man. You've got no idea. Honestly, man, you've got no idea, because it's been ages since I listened. I was like, oh, wicked, because it came up live on Facebook then. I was going, oh, no way, man. So I just jumped straight on it, then went on Facebook and that and sent a message, and they were like, I will get your ring. I was going,
excellent.
Yes.
Good, man. Hey, well, let's have a copy of the EP when it comes out.
Aye, I'll definitely send you one down. Like, I'll probably head down towards my mum's at some point, so I'll drop it in.
Pop one in. Cool. Super good. Thank you very much, Ash. Stay well,
Yeah,
man.
bud.
All the
Cheers,
best.
bud. You too.
Bye-bye. Now, that's lovely. Say family. That's what we become. We become family, and you got to kind of keep in touch. Hope his band sounds as good as he made it out to. I mean, he's launching gigs like Bonfest, which is tremendous. Let us go to Spennymoor and have a chat with Andy. He's there. Hello, Andy.
Good morning, Alan. Or is it evening?
Yeah, it's still evening yet, but hello to you anyway, Andy. What can we do for you?
I'll just listen to Mrs. Brown's boys. Right. I forgot what I was going to say now.
Oh, no.
This Chinese rubbish, this disease or whatever it is.
Coronavirus thing.
Yeah, what the hell is this government playing at? You're bringing it back to the country.
I don't think they've had any option, really, because apparently somebody met somebody in France and they've come back and they've got it.
There's a lot more. They said there was families that were skiing in a skiing lodge and they're now looking for them.
Right.
And they already had this disease.
And they say it's going to be a much bigger threat to the world than Ebola was, and Ebola was bad enough.
I tried getting a new 2 weeks ago,
right,
and I couldn't get through.
Right.
I was going to put my point of view. This disease is not just a new disease. We've known about it for a long time.
So why haven't they been working on it in the same way that they have about the other one?
It's like everybody else. It's down to money.
Right.
Simple as that. It's down to money.
Because apparently there've been over 800 deaths, but there's something like 40,000 people got it all over the planet.
Have you seen that new hospital they built in China?
Yeah, oh, blame me.
That's just a mortuary. Why? Now I'm saying it how it is.
It
just looks like one big massive mortuary.
Yeah.
It's been built that cheap, and it took in a couple of days. It's just one big massive mortuary. It's disgusting.
Well, what somebody said today was that China, how did they phrase it? China's sacrificing a province to try and save the world from a pandemic. I just don't know how you keep a lid on something like this.
You can't keep a lid on it, nothing like this. It's been going around a long time. It's been under the hook a long time, and nobody's been saying nothing to nobody. It's been about.
Yeah.
But it's just escapated out of touch.
Well, it seems that there was a movie I saw years ago. It had a load of big stars in it. Can't remember the name of it, but it showed you how something like this, like a pandemic, works. And you see everybody on an aeroplane, and one person's got it, and they cough and they sneeze, and you see the little beads of the thing going into people's noses. Yeah. Then at the airport, they're falling down, and other people are getting onto other planes.
On this Chinese
but they're getting it.
Couldn't make my mind up if it was down a couple of animals.
Right.
And all of a sudden he turned around and said, "Oh, it was down to bats."
Bats, right.
It was down to bats. Now, that's on the internet if you want to check it out.
Right. No, I don't doubt you.
And they said it comes from bats, what this disease has come from. Now, who the hell wants to go and eat bats?
Well, is it eating them, or is it from bat poo? Or
I haven't got a clue.
No, this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's just that if it was something like bat
it's
poo.
It's more like a plague.
Right. No, it certainly sounds like it.
It sounds more like a plague. Do you know, I actually think it's a bit, how do I say it? I know I'm going to come off the subject.
Right.
But you're going on the bat, and the weather we're having at the minute, something seems a little bit funny.
Right.
Weather-wise, disease-wise, what's next?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Motto. Gary's just sent me something that just popped up on my screen now when I clicked it.
Said a long time ago. Whatever would happen in so many years. Now, not Radamus. 99% sure we're on him, but not 100.
Right.
What do you say?
Well, I mean, I've looked at... I've got a feeling about the whole Nostradamus thing. He was very clever. He made these little poems in 3 different languages, And he mixed all the languages together.
Yeah, so you took you a while to Karen.
To try and work out what the devil it was. But no, Gary sent this and says the new coronavirus strain 2019 NCOV probably originated at a seafood market in Wuhan. The market also sells things like donkeys, poultry, camels, foxes, badgers, hedgehogs and rats.
But in 2020, he said it was through snakes and bats.
Well, you see, but it may well be that if bat poo's dropping onto these things...
But my point of view is, these countries already knew about it beforehand. Your country already knew what was going on beforehand.
What could they do about it, though? They knew what it was
knew
about.
What to expect.
What you mean? So they should already have something
They should have had something in place.
Right. No, that makes sense. Does
Now,
make sense.
secondly, can I go on to something else?
Of course you can. Do it.
It's about 150 objects. Do you know, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Right. Say if somebody dies.
Right.
Right. I'll be honest with you now. My dad died.
Sorry. When was this?
2002.
Right,
Since 2002, I've fought for his will.
Right.
Been robbed of his will. The police won't do nothing about it. Sorry, we can't prosecute the person who done it because he's only got one leg.
What happened to his will? Usually it's held by a solicitor and then everybody sits around a table and gets to hear what they want.
No.
So what happened then?
Me just handed will over to my brother.
Ah, right.
The will got robbed.
And there was no copies anywhere.
We had to pay £4,000 divorce bill for
Right.
demanding our will money.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not down to money. It was down to when my dad got buried. Flowers weren't paid for his funeral. Nothing was. My mother had to run around and pay bills that weren't paid. He just napped up for all the money.
Right.
Up till last week, I'm working with probate at the minute. He's just given us a copy of a will and the probate order. Now, over 18 years, I think it's a bit disgusting.
I just don't understand why it's taken so long.
And you can't prosecute them out of he had two legs when we were pinching the money and robbing.
And these are family members, Robert.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's disgusting.
I hate all of that. I hate that. Not just to do with wills.
My dad, Alan, I'll tell you how disgusting it was. We had to pull our own money out to buy flowers.
Right.
There was only about 3 bunches of flowers in the coffin.
Right.
Now, my point, I was going to come last time about this, but he didn't phone us back.
Right.
My point of the matter is, where is your family morals?
Do you have them anymore?
They've all gone. It's like all the young'uns nowadays are just attacking doctor surgeries, you're breaking in them. What can the police do? Nothing. Because all we've got now is plastic police officers. We can't do nothing.
I don't understand the family moral thing, because back in the day you would think that that everybody would be fair-minded about such things.
Years ago, we all had morals. Family morals. We all got together. We had a lovely time. In the 2001s, wasn't like that.
You just get the impression, though, it's just all about just give me the money. I'll take the will, I'll rip it to pieces so that nobody can get a look at it.
I found my dad dead, and it was disgusting. His clock stopped the moment he died, and that was proven by the coroner.
Right.
And it's the most horriblest thing you can ever do.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And all you get off, like, we had to phone Carling, and all you got off Carling is, we have permission to smash a window. What? That was horrible.
Yeah, awful.
So,
awful.
I smashed the window, straight in.
Yeah.
Poof. I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
But, like you say, there's no morals no more. Families,
No, they
So
just want the money, and they walk over brothers, sisters, cousins.
A long time ago, my dad got took to a hospital, and he got attacked whilst in hospital.
Right.
Another patient. He was telling people that somebody was trying to knock into his property under night. He thought he was going mad, and he wasn't. Somebody stole his garden ornaments and everything.
Right.
But where were the police? They weren't there.
No.
Oh, Alan, I'm not being disrespectful to you.
No, I'm hearing this.
It's a downskill of the police nowadays.
Well, that's what we were at the top of the show was saying, that they get over 500,000 calls to go out and deal with mental health issues.
And they don't do it.
Well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
They haven't got the money.
They haven't got the money to go to burglaries.
What they're trying to do now is, you know that community force? I used to work community force a long time ago.
Right.
That was Hartlepool area.
Yeah.
And basically, that was all stopped because there was too much money laundering going on.
Right.
In the background. And I'm not making any allegations. I'm just stating what was fact at the time, years ago.
Yeah.
That's going to happen again.
Wouldn't surprise. I'd put nothing past this mob, mate, I have to say. But thank you very much, Andy.
You're welcome, Alan.
Good talking to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Have a nice night.
I'll do my best. Thank you. And I've mentioned this before because members of my family have, just gone for the money and to hell with everybody else. And I would like to say it is just the modern generation. You've got our friend there who goes back to 2002. I can remember when I was really small, about 7 or 8 year old, my dad's father died. And my dad lived nearer to him than any of the other brothers and sisters. And when he heard that he'd passed over, he went down to lock up the house and keep it safe. When he got there, he discovered that the rest of the family had already been. All the furniture was gone, all the pictures off the wall, knives and forks out the kitchen. They had taken the lot. Before the will could be even looked at, all the stuff had gone. So there is something about money that turns supposedly loving families into absolute beasts. There's no other way of putting it. You were the big one, and we got some glorious music coming your way, and maybe a ghost story from level 42 next.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And Tony's been on. He says, I think people need to get a grip and stop panicking over the coronavirus. So far, it's killed about 600 people. I think it's 713, actually, tough. Yet the normal flu virus killed over 60,000 people worldwide last year. So there, a bit of perspective. Thank you, Tony. And also, talking about doctors and are they any good and all that kind of stuff, Gillian has come back and says, my doctor was jailed for 12 months and had to sign on the sex offenders register for 10 years. Hell's teeth, you certainly wouldn't want hang on, he's just got out of prison, but he'll see you in 10 minutes. Maybe not. And any stories to tell about the kind of medical treatment that you've had? Give us a call, 0191 488 3188. Now, level.
This is Night Owls on Greatest Hits Radio.
You never know who's going to call next.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
You are with the big one. It's Alan Robson on Greatest Hits. We have room for you. If you want to give us a call, pick up your telephone number. We have Matthew coming on in a moment, but we are waiting for your call. 0191 488 3188. And Compson's been on about the Nissan thing, and she says, hi, Alan, I've had lots of different cars. Brackets, I know, I'm old. My daughter's BMW won't hold the road at all. Has to have special tyres on in bad weather. I've had a Fiat, a Renault, a Citroen, a Volkswagen, etc. Out of all of them, my second-hand Nissan Micra was the best. Lasted me for years. I have a Sandero now, which is fine, but it was brand new, so it should be. I don't think Nissan will ever go bust or move abroad. They're brilliant. Well, I certainly hope so too. Dedicate this to any of our companies that have had a worry or so following the whole Brexit malarkey. Now, it's time we had Matthew, but he's disappeared. So we have our second clue to win you 1,000 games for your computer. Blinded by the Light, the new DVD that's just out, plus the Night Owls mug. The first clue, what Davy Crockett and the men of the Alamo refused to do. What Davy Crockett and the men of the Alamo, what they refused to do. Second clue, what Phil Schofield decided before telling Holly his secret. Now, all of the answers are song titles. You've got to work out what the song titles were and then tell me who had a hit with them all. You'll have 4 song titles, 4 massive hits, just who had a hit with them. That's what you're looking for tonight to win a tremendous set of prizes. 3 things that everybody's going to want. And we have Jean. It is the veritable Jean. Hello, Jean. Hello, Jean.
Hello.
How are you doing?
All right at the moment.
What you been up to then?
No, I've got a phone call the other day. The computer gone down. I said, look, don't call me again. I have not got a computer to say I said goodbye. Don't ring again.
Right.
Just give another phone call last week about an accident. If you there's an accident that way, I know what happened. You stop ringing me up and go away. Well, I said, that's so stupid, man.
Right.
What the after anyway? What after something?
I don't know. The thing to do, though, apparently is, because they're ringing you, so therefore it's their money, what you should do is, if somebody says, has your computer been going down, you say, oh, yeah, it's been driving me crazy. Hang on a second, there's just somebody at the door. I'll be back in a second. And then you put the phone on the counter, you just get on with your day, and in an hour or so later, you hang it up, because they won't be able to make another phone call until you do, you see.
I don't know. Oh, you know, pub called the Dancing Betty, the Dancing Park. Why do they call it Dancing Betty?
Why is what called the Dancing...
A pub called the Dancing Betty.
A pub called the Dancing Betty?
Yes, it's up by Dancing Park.
Was it not because Betty was a bit of a dancer?
Oh, probably, yeah. That's why.
Right.
That's probably why.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been a Dancing Betty. If anybody knows what a Dancing Betty is, maybe Betty stands for something.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, because it's in Merton. It's in Merton, isn't it?
Maybe ghost story, sir.
Is it in Merton?
It's of Dalton Park. It's Dalton Park.
All right, Dalton Park. Oh, I see. Right. Yeah.
Park.
Yeah, I think that's Merton.
Up there.
Right, so if anybody knows who was Dancing Betty, we need to talk to this one. Oh, hang on a second. Hey, how quick was that? And Brian, thank you very much. Brian, who lives nearby, says, the Dancing Betty is named in honour of Dalton Park's mining heritage. A Dancing Betty is a gadget that miners used to use down the pits to get the tension right on their haulage ropes. And they used to dance about until they got it steady. So they called it a Dancing Betty. There you go.
There you go, you see?
It's better than a wobbly willy then, isn't it? There you go. A Dancing Betty.
Hey, lad.
I'm just
Thank you. Come on, Wood.
No, well, that's another mining expression.
I know that.
There you go.
Lad. Like that more
If you had a wobbly willy, you don't want that.
No, you've been trying to put that. I have those.
Right.
It's awful, though.
Have you had hemorrhoids?
No.
No.
No, I had piles.
Never had piles. No.
I have had piles.
Oh, you have had piles?
Clean, to get clean, but good stuff.
Right.
Very good.
So you use what, Preparation H?
Oh, that's good.
Because the other thing, though, they sell another brand of that called Anasol.
That's it.
And everybody that buys it that I've noticed, if ever I've mentioned it, they've all gone, oh, you mean Inusol. And they always say inusol, so that it doesn't sound like anus, but that's what it's all about. That's where you're going to stick it. You might as well own up.
Yeah. Yeah, though. But still, I mean, can't become the
Yeah, oh dear me.
I don't know, touch the cricket.
I know how the devil did that happen. I wonder what Bodie's got to say about that.
Oh, I know. It's when they hear.
Yeah, he's going to be on soon, so I'm sure we'll find out. How did he get away with that? I suppose if you've got enough money, you can get away with anything.
Yeah, I know. So you tip up one of these days.
Shocking. I will, absolutely.
You tip up one of these days.
I think that's the case.
Where's that flooding game where that man lives? That man come over here.
He lives in Cumbria and he's getting flooded out.
No, whereabouts?
Whereabouts in Cumbria? I'm not sure where he's at.
Oh,
He did mention it. And the thing is, the tide was due to come in at 10:12, so we may give him a call back and just see how he's doing, make sure that he's all right. Scary.
Mary's mum's doing one off last week. Thursday.
Right.
That's coming.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, lovely.
Good.
Really have a beautiful mind.
Yeah.
Beautiful flower on them.
Oh, Eddie's just sent me a text about you saying you never asked Jean how she caught her pails.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
You been straining?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But
You've been sitting on a cold step or something.
That's what might be.
Might be that. So that's me. My mother always, if ever I was sitting on a step or a wall, that was always that you'd catch pails, mate. I don't know how you're supposed to get them through a pair of trousers, but there, it's not like there's a worm climbing up anywhere, you know. No, horrible. We don't want them again. We'll leave them alone.
Leave them alone,
Definitely.
Yeah, Linda's getting well anyway. Linda from Belfast.
Is she all right?
She seems to be all right.
That's good. Good news. Excellent. Okay. Anything else then, Jean?
And that was rain awful today. The wind. You
had awful wind today.
The wind, no, the wind.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've been eating pickled onions or something. So what was it? What gave you the wind then?
Will you shut up?
It's an awful thing.
Will you shut up?
But it's better out than in.
The storm.
It caused a storm. I bet it caused a storm. What was it? Was it stinky?
Will you shut up?
Oh, blame you! Bet you cleared the room, did you?
Will you shut up?
Did you? Did you clear the room, Jean?
Alan, shut
You should have opened the window. Give the people a chance.
Shut up.
Just saying.
Shut up.
It's awful.
Shut up. I've done the gears.
A few people get that with cheese, you know.
Wind, the gears.
I know the wind, I know. It's awful.
The wind.
It's worse for the people around you, though, Jean. I tell you when you've got it. The wind, I know, the wind. The wind. So what did you have a drink? If you suck a peppermint, that's supposed to help.
I'm not talking about that. The storm fever. The storm fever, man.
The stormy feeler.
Fever.
What's a stormy feeler?
Horrible, that wind. You've got home.
Our wind is horrible.
Your car broke down, didn't it?
Oh, I tell you. Don't want that again. So how'd you get rid of your wind then?
No.
Did somebody burp you or?
I'm not talking
Or was it coming from the other end?
I'm not talking about that.
Oh dear.
Will you shut up?
Okay.
Will you shut up?
I'm just worried about the people in your life. They gotta walk in the house and smell it. And he who smelled it dealt it, you know that. Jean. Stinky Jean. That's terrible.
I'm so sorry, I ain't no good. Shut up. Will you shut
Do you want to say hello to anybody or do you just want to apologise? You can, you've got a choice.
I'm sorry, I'm not there. But it's got Alan on. I'll tell him anything.
Right.
I'll tell him.
Okay.
And hello to Linda from Belfast.
Right.
Angela from Beverton. And Chloe, Harry Mary and Richie.
Harry Mary, all right. Scary Harry Mary. Clary, you mean, right.
And hello to, I'm from Audley. He's going to ring you up, I don't know why.
I don't know why. I haven't heard from her for a while, but we're looking forward to it. Anyway, thank you, Jean. Bye, Jean. Bye-bye. There you go. It's Windy Jean. Stinky. If you're driving through Reckonton. Keep your windows closed, just be on the safe side. Chris, the truck's been back. Says, hi, Alan. If the truck doesn't get fixed roadside, I get towed to a dealership. What happens with me at that point, I'm not sure. I've never had a breakdown that hasn't been fixable roadside. I'm parked up on a trading estate near Wembley. It's not a lot around here food-wise, and coffee messes with my IBS, which wouldn't end well in my current situation. Yeah, no, it wouldn't, Chris. Just stay well, mate. Stay as well as you can. Stay safe. Safe and sound. Blimey. There's people out there in genuine peril, and we wish him well. Bodie, we mentioned, we're going to get him on, and apparently Bradley Walsh did a programme from Bodie's hometown last week and visited a haunted school. There's a couple who live in the school and see all sorts, apparently. How about that? Tony telling us that. Let's speak to the man himself. It's Bodie from Middletown, Cincinnati.
Hey.
Hello, Buddy.
How you doing?
Doing very well. What happened with Trump? He got off with it.
Yep, he certainly did. Well, he didn't get off. He was not prosecuted, but believe you me, he will be impeached for the rest of his life. What happened was his chances of being reelected were just cut off at the knees.
Right.
Yeah. But,
how did he get away with it though? Because it seemed to me, reading what he'd done, that there was like half a dozen reasons why you could impeach him, and yet he still got away with it. I'm presuming it's because he's got a majority in the House.
No, well, but the thing that Trump uses that nobody else previously has used is fear. He has threatened every member of his cabinet with terrible consequences if they try to get him convicted. And having said that, I want to give a shout-out to the one Republican who had a spine. That's Mitch McConnell. You may remember that name from him trying to run for president terms ago.
Yeah, sure.
And it was kind of a train wreck because, he didn't even know what a donut was. But nobody thought he'd ever, make it back into the public eye. But he's a senator, and he, during this impeachment, when it came time to vote, he was the only Republican that stood up and did what his conscience told him to do.
Right.
And I just want to, shout out to him. But, I was not surprised, and I'm not disappointed. I kind of figured at some point this was going to happen. But Trump is going to lose in November. And the minute he is no longer president, he's not just going to jail. He is going under the jail.
Right.
They're going to dig a hole at the bottom of the jail that goes almost to China. And they're just going to drop him without his toupee in that hole and pour concrete into it.
But he's a slippery eel, though. This guy has got away with a lot, and he seems.
You remember John Gotti? John Gotti was called the Teflon Don because he would never get convicted of anything. And now he's dead now, but he spent the rest of his life in prison.
Right.
So, Trump without the presidency is a weak Trump.
Right.
Believe me.
No, but it's the thing that I'm saying is that Trump's been very slippery, and he's managed to get away by using threats to stay in office, to cling on in there. But he won by about 6 or 7, didn't he?
Yeah.
What makes you so sure that after he becomes president that he hasn't already planned a way out?
He can't get away from the inevitable fact that he's been impeached. He's been publicly declared to be a criminal. And just as this was happening, the effects of his horrible stewardship, if you can even call it that, have begun to manifest themselves. Farms are beginning to go bankrupt.
Right.
Companies that he promised to keep afloat, he has abandoned completely. The military is beginning to ditch him because, you know, he doesn't pay his bills.
Right.
He's not supporting. He's the only person he's supporting is Donald Trump.
Right.
You know, and
so if after his presidency he's likely to get arrested, will the rest of them go as well? Because I know he can't be arrested because he's president, but how come they haven't arrested any of his kids or maybe Pence?
Well, Pence and his kids are under his protection right now.
Right.
But the minute he's out of the White House, it's Pence goes when he goes.
Right.
You know, when there's an election, Pence will go too.
Right.
And he's toast because things like the emolument clause and all the other things that he was let off on, he will be tried for again.
But
private citizen.
Let's look at this another way. He's got to be a private citizen to do that, though. But if he stands again and gets in, and if you look around, there's not any Republican challenging him that I can see. The only people challenging him are the Democrats, and they've got fewer people in the House. So the Democrats have to win to take it from him, because otherwise he's just going to continue to bully his way through, isn't he?
There might be a majority of Republicans in the House, but there are not a majority of Republicans in the country.
Right.
The Democratic Party and the Independent Party are streets ahead of the Republicans in their numbers.
Right.
And no matter how much cheating they do or how they try, they're not going to be able to stop people from going to the polls and pressing that button.
Right.
Because we were able to flip the Senate and get in the House of Representatives, we were able to flip that and gain a Democratic majority in the middle of all this Republican, stuff. So we're not going to have any trouble at all getting Trump out of the White House in November.
Right.
And then when that happens, his little house of cards is going to fall down, and he's going to be convicted. And not only can they get him for the stuff he did in the White House, but they're also going to get him for the dozens, and I'm not exaggerating, the dozens of sexual assault cases that are pending against him.
Right.
Yeah, he's toast.
Right.
I can put up with. I can put up with him a little longer.
Right. Okay. The other story that I wanted to touch on was the woman who ran over a young man here in England. His name's Harry Dunn, and she was coming out of the U.S. Embassy and knocked him over and killed him and fled to America. And now we're being told by the American press that she was a CIA operative, so she can't come back because of all the secrets that she's got and stuff. It sounds like they're just making it up as they go along.
Yeah, it's a load of crap. If she tries to use diplomatic immunity, she's going to fall on her behind on that deal.
So is she CIA or not then? I mean, that's just the latest story.
Even if she is, I mean, it's not going to make any difference, because what's going to have to happen is the CIA, if that's her bosses, they're going to have to cooperate with extradition.
Right.
Now it falls to England. It falls to your guys as Donald Trump to extradite this woman.
Right.
What's his name? The blonde.
Boris.
Yeah, Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
I had a senior moment. It falls to Boris Johnson to extradite her, and I hope sincerely that he does, because that woman, for doing that, deserves a lengthy, lifelong stretch in the slammer. Right. And I just found out recently that you guys have made it so that life in prison means life in prison.
Right.
And that is a very lovely thing. Because if he doesn't have a life, she should lose her life.
Right. Well, I don't know whether it'll come to that. It just, you get the impression, though, that Boris probably won't take it that far because he's trying to keep in with Trump.
See, this thing with Trump is so slimy that it's even sliming up other governments. And that's what ticks me off really bad. But don't worry. Karma is coming to that guy. Believe me.
Right.
It's coming.
So how are you doing? At the present moment, we're in the middle of a major storm that's flooding places and knocking roofs off buildings and what have you. How have you been coping? Because you're still in Tornado Alley, aren't you?
Well, in the middle of winter, we don't get any tornadoes.
Right.
So we won't be seeing any tornadoes, more than likely, or any talk of them until April.
Right. Sounds like you got the police outside at the moment, buddy.
No, that's my sister watching a program on television. Sorry about that.
That's all right, no problems at all.
She loves her NCIS.
I can't blame her at all. Hey, buddy, thank you very much. We will keep in touch and we'll catch up with you, man. Thanks for being there.
Hey, I love you guys. I'll talk to you next time.
Look forward to it. Thank you, buddy. All the best. There is Bodie, and a huge shock. We all expected Trump to go down there. We got Sean, who's in concert. Hi, Sean.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I'm all right. What are you talking about tonight?
Good to hear you, Bodie, again.
It is, absolutely. No, good news.
This virus thing, right?
Yes.
It's killing a lot of people, right? 1620, 1720, 1820, 1920, and now 2020. They all had... Do you think there's something in this thing?
What, the 20s plague kind of thing?
Aye.
Right, who knows?
Because on the internet, there was a virus in 1620 all the way up to now 2020.
Right.
And I find it very...
The only thing that I would say is that if you go looking around the world, you'll find a plague whenever you look. If you look every 21 years, you could find one. You know, if you go look, and that's the only thing that I'd say to that. Who knows? And I know there's a video that's come out saying that once every 20 years there's like a major pandemic that takes out hundreds of thousands of people. Whether that's the case, time will tell. But it's just, if you look around the world, there's stuff going on all the time.
All the time,
that's the thing.
What about these 50 Caribbean lads are going to get kicked out of the country?
The ones that about that? I did. They've been here for an awful long time, a lot of them as well.
So what about the ones that are, like, in the 27 country in Brexit? Are they going to get kicked out of France and Germany, that causes trouble over there?
Well, you see, this is where it gets a bit messy, because I do get the impression that Europe will do tit for tat. You know, if we start messing about with things like this, the EU will start messing about with stuff like that, and it ends up getting messy, because we got a lot of people living in France. I mean, literally hundreds of thousands of people living in France and Germany and various other countries, Spain, for example. And the promise was made that they'd stay there, but I don't know whether that promise will be upheld.
I agree with the ones that are murdering people and things like that. Deport them.
Yeah.
But there's a lad he's 20-year-old, and he done his sentence 10 years ago, and yet they're going to kick him out.
Right. It's bad. I saw that this guy, he's been living in Britain since 1958. He's got a family here, and all of his relatives are here, and they're saying that he has to leave. And you're thinking, if you've been here since 1959, you know, like 50-odd years, surely you're probably British now, you would think, after...
You wouldn't think this country would go back to the Windrush, but it's. I think that's what's happening.
Awful.
You know what I mean?
But you see, this is the thing.
Brexit hasn't helped it, has it?
Well, you see, what Brexit's done, and I saw a huge article on this earlier today, and my reading of it is they've stopped people getting in from Europe, but we still need, on average, between 90 and 120,000 people a month to come in and do the jobs that we can't do ourselves. But now we can't get them from Europe, so we're going to have to get them from Africa, Asia, America, any of the other countries that aren't Europe. But we'll still have the same number of people coming in. And what they've said is that they're going to come up with a wage, and you can only get in if you've got a job worth more than, and somebody said it was something like
25,000.
25 grand. Well, hell's teeth. All of the jobs that Britain need doing are for less than that. They're the jobs that the Brits won't do, essentially. And that's always how it's been. If you remember, they came in when nobody would work for the trains, when nobody would work on the buses. That's when they went off to other countries to beg them to come and help us out. And then gave them hassle for coming and helping us out, which is kind of typical Britain, isn't it, really?
Just when you're going back to when we left school in 1981, we were forced on government schemes at £1 an hour.
It's the same.
You know what I mean?
Same deal, isn't it?
It is the same deal. I just find this country's getting a bit. It's getting a bit dodgy at the minute, like.
But what can you do about it? If you're looking at, first of all, I got up this morning and you see Boris says he's going to give a nod to HS2. So we're going to get a train from London up to Manchester or Leeds or wherever, or Birmingham, I think it was the original one, that can get them there 40 minutes earlier. We're happy days. It's not going to change my life, but we're going to pay for it.
But they say the north. I mean, there's
the
north
will
of the
benefit.
north and Leeds.
Yeah, well, they say the north will benefit. Well, if you drew a line in the middle of the United Kingdom, it's about Leeds. The northern bits, above that, and that's us in Scotland. If you think about it, because there's a whole lump of Scotland up there, and it's not going to benefit the northeast, the northwest, and Scotland, as far as I can see. And yet we're going to be paying for it. Why? And the other thing they said today, they're going to build a £20 billion bridge from Scotland to Northern Ireland. Why don't we go the whole hog and go to New York? We'll just bounce off Ireland and head straight.
I see that the Sinn Féin might be getting in there.
It's just... I saw that today, and you're thinking...
United Ireland's coming up, I think.
I think it's distinctly possible.
It's on its way.
United Scotland, United Ireland.
United Newcastle.
Well, we'll have to try and go on our own, I think, in the north, aren't we? Blimey.
We should have our own government.
Absolutely.
In this part of the country.
Absolutely. I
think
so
London,
too.
we abide by London's rules, you know what I mean? And to me, London's a tip anyway.
Can we not ask Scotland to take us in? Have a word with Nicola Sturgeon and say, hey, just move that wall a bit further south. She just seems to be sensible.
Aye.
You might not like her, but she appears to be sensible. Everywhere else you look, I'm not seeing too much of that, really. But look around her. You've got Gove, you've got Rees-Mogg, you've got Boris. They're cartoon characters. Where's the real politicians?
You've got what do you call him? The Brexit leader. Oh my God.
Farage.
I think that's what's happened to this country. I think he's I think he's a total racist, like. Total racist, that bloke, like.
Some people say so, some people disagree, but...
And how many MPs has he got? None.
None.
You know what I mean? So what happened to his party then? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then he turned around and he turns his back on the European Union place. He should have kicked them out then when he turned his back on them. You know what I mean? And waving their flags.
What I'd never understood in the first place was that he went to the European Union just to cause trouble, but got voted in by people to do that. Really, 'cause people don't traditionally vote for the European places because nobody really cares. But he motivated enough people to get him in.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the country's crazy. Like,
it's certainly gone in an odd direction. That is for sure. One that I never expected happening. Anything else then, Sean?
No, that's it, mate.
Hey, good man. Lovely talking to you. Thanks for coming on. Take it easy. Bye-bye. And what we're going to do now is got a little bit of music that I think's pretty much spectacular. It's Bob Marley and the Wailers.
This is Night Owls on Greatest Hits Radio.
You never know who's going to call next.
0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, we can tell you that we've had no contact with our friend in Cumbria. We hope that he's all right with the onrush of the tides at 12:10. Chris, the truck, the mechanic has arrived. Hoorah! And that's all the best. Chris, get it fixed. Get up here. Get home soon. We're looking forward to seeing you. Tim says, cracking show as always, Alan. The hemorrhoids call had me shifting in me seat, though. Also, I had a Rogan Josh curry tonight, as I'm following in your footsteps and getting into curry, trying a different curry every night. All the best. Well, I'm not having them every night, but I do like to try. I'll get the next one. I agree with you. The way to do it is keep trying. Boona today. Who knows tomorrow? Because each one has a separate kind of list of what they call things. So sometimes you get a bit of cross-pollination, but it's normally pretty good. 0191 488 3188. Big mention to David Johnson as well, who's listening to Greatest Hits Radio. Very, very sensible indeed. But it is now time for the blah. Well, we take a look at what's trending, what people are talking about, and also we start with what's on the front pages of the newspapers that will be forced through your letterbox in the morning. Or maybe you'll have to go to the newsagents and pick them up there, where we can tell you what you can look forward to. Starting off with the Metro newspaper, there is a picture of a horrific storm front on the front of that. They've all gone pretty much the same way. Let's start with the Information newspaper, the Big I. Storm of the century. Heavy rain and winds reaching 97 miles an hour, bringing widespread flooding, travel disruption, and weather warnings to the whole of the UK. Airlines cancel flights. Many rail passengers told not to travel. Properties collapse as Storm Ciara batters the country. Energy firm struggles to reconnect power to hundreds of thousands of properties. So that's where it stands at the moment. And that's the Information newspaper. Next, the Daily Express. Be prepared as the 9th UK national tests positive for the coronavirus. But the main page is Storm of the Century batters Britain. Floods and gales spark a danger to life alert. Trains and flights cancelled, roads closed. Now forecasters say snow is on the way. Well, that's certainly not going to help anybody at all. And there's a picture of some people in a car. The water's up to the window of the car, and there's two firemen trying to get them out. The Guardian. Known Windrush victims may be the tip of the iceberg. And there's a picture of Sierra Chaos, where there's a guy in the water is almost at the top of his back door, and they're literally bailing it out. They've put boards over the bottom of their front door, but the water, if it gets through, will certainly fill the bottom of that house. Daily Mirror. Chat, cheers. Strictly stars Kelvin and Odie head for drinks in a hotel bar at 3 a.m. and battered. Floods and chaos as Storm of the Century hits Britain, and there's more to come. There's a picture of a lorry just tipping over in the wind. So it is hellish out there. Be very, very careful. The Times has gone with Britain infected 7 with virus and Labour at war after Starmer's campaign accused of hacking. Daily Star, 105 miles an hour, storm of the century. And Kelvin and Otis 3 a.m. hotel nightcap. Do you care if they're dating? It doesn't matter. Sorry.
Definitely not.
Incidentally,
I don't even know who they are.
I was going to say, I normally introduce everybody that's going to be on with the blah. It is, of course, Hollywood McShane, producer to the stars. You don't know who Otie is?
She's one of Strictly, isn't it?
Strictly and The Greatest Dancer.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
one of them there, and he won Strictly, I think. Yeah, the Emmerdale guy.
All right, yes.
So there you go.
A nice couple.
There you go. Why not? Daily Mail, Storm of the Century and exclusive. Desperate women charged up to 4 times National Health Service prices for treatment. Internet chemists cashing in on the UK's HRT crisis. Picture of J-Lo there as well, because they had a dinner date with Harry and Meghan.
Oh, well, she did the Super Bowl as well, didn't she, last week?
She did with Shakira. And,
I didn't watch it. I just saw the pictures.
It was good.
Yeah.
The Financial Times, should businesses hit China drive to restart the economy despite the virus? And the Daily Telegraph, pressure on health chiefs over British virus super spreader. And the Independent, a battering from Storm Sierra, and the hidden epidemic of National Health Service asbestos deaths. The Metro has a tree uprooted in a London road, and Storm of the Century. Picture of somebody in Carlisle bailing out their house as well, which is just going to be the most difficult and horrible thing, to be fighting off something that rabid that's taken over the entire street and is halfway up their front door.
The photos look really bad, don't they? They're on Twitter as well.
Have you seen the colour of that water as well? You don't want to think what's floating around in that sucker. And that is your front pages. Hollywood McShane, what is the thing that you're adding to the whole mix?
Yeah, well, everyone likes to save some money, don't they?
We do.
And a couple who fancied saving some money on their travels came up with a devious plan to ensure that they didn't buy a drink all night. Basically, they told everyone that they were engaged. So, yeah. They lied. They weren't engaged, but they said they just got engaged on the night, and people just started buying them drinks all night.
That's pretty clever.
That's good. I mean, I think I'll try that one myself.
You'll only get away with it once, though.
They didn't even pay for the drinks all night. They went to Atlanta, so they must be quite generous in Atlanta.
Georgia, very nice.
So, I mean, I've never been over there, but...
Very nice. Is that the one and only? Have you got any more?
I've got one and only. We had Chris, but he's gone AWOL. He's on flood watch, so...
Yeah, we lost Chris at the beginning of the show there. He's been asked to keep an eye on all of the flood things, and that is the priority.
He'll be back.
To keep people safe. If he finishes at 1, we think he will, then he'll be back on the team, and we will pick up from there. Now, time for another very, very quick break. And don't forget, we've still got a chat with Elvis Costello coming up. And I think Linda's going to be on too. You never know. It's all happening right here on Greatest Hits. It's the Night Owls.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls. The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Okay, I'm going to give you your third clue that could win you the brand new movie that's just out, the feel-good movie of the year, utterly joyous, Blinded by the Light. It's about the guy that's obsessed with Bruce Springsteen. So you can have that. You can also have this, 1,000 games, a huge collection of over 1,000 addictive games that you can play on your PC. As simple as. So you can have that too. And we'll send you a Night Owl mug. All of those things together, a Gleason threesome. And all of the answers are big hits by somebody who's very famous indeed. Clue number 1 is what Davy Crockett and the men of the Alamo refused to do. Second clue, what Philip Schofield decided before telling Holly his secret. What Philip Schofield decided before telling Holly and everybody else his secret. Third clue, this is how you tip a can to get everything out of it. This is how you tip a can to get everything out of it. That's 3 big hits. The 4th clue, I think, will give you it. But have you worked it out from the first 3 yet? Well, don't enter until you hear the 4th clue, and that will be coming in 25 to 30 minutes' time. We've got Nicola from Bedlington on the line. Hello, Nicola.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, my darling. What can we do for you?
I emailed you a couple of weeks ago about my mum passing away, about the motor neurons disease.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. How
I
you
did.
doing?
I was just... It's very hard, but it's some disease that nobody's ever heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so rare that I just wanted to make people aware of how hard the passing is and how hard it is to deal with it.
It wasn't an easy passing. It was tough, was it?
It was at the end, yeah. It was more like she was undignified. It was very...
All right, I see what you mean.
Undignified, yeah.
I mean, was she in? Did she have to be in hospital for it, or did she manage to be home?
She went into palliative care, and they were brilliant, yeah.
Right. Well, they make the best of it, though. But it's you would think that for a condition like that, because there's a lot of people suffered it. It is one of the great unspoken. You're quite right. People don't talk often about it.
I had never heard of it before in my life until my mum got diagnosed with.
Well,
I heard of Stephen Hawkins, and then I thought of Stephen Hawkins that could live for years and years and years with the condition.
Sure. I mean,
my mum got diagnosed in August and passed in December.
Oh my goodness! I mean, but what were the symptoms that she got then that drove her to the doctor in the
first place? She had
place?
carpal tunnel syndrome in her wrist.
Right, and that
then
could have been
our wrist-
anything.
Yeah, our wrist went sort of numb, and then we were saying, "Oh, you've got carpal tunnel syndrome." And then she lost control of her right arm.
Right.
And then the RVI, who were brilliant with her, diagnosed her with it. And then she got diagnosed in August and passed in December.
Ridiculous. I mean, that's,
and when we got told, there was some specialists coming from London to diagnose her.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they said, motor neurons disease, I thought of Stephen Hawking straight away.
Sure, well, you would, yeah. And you think if he can survive with it,
well, that's what I thought.
His
yeah,
body in the
God.
shape that it's in, you'd have thought that your mum would stand a chance to be with him for another 20 years.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
She was stolen from you, blimey, stolen. How old was she?
She was 72.
72. You see, we're hearing nowadays that because of medical science is so great, everybody's living to 95 and 100 these days.
I know, definitely.
Well, you hear that, but just recently, everybody that I've heard that's been passing is in their 70s, Because I remember me mother saying, and this was in a different time, when I was little, I heard my mum say, isn't it wrong the way that the pensions are paid? People get to pensionable age and they live 2 years and they can't enjoy their pension because they're dead.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's kind of like that now. They're putting the pensionable age further. It's 64, now it's 66. For some, it's 68. And people don't have a chance to live out the end of their life with any kind of dignity. They're gone before you know it. It's a scary, scary thing.
It was just so rapid.
But I think it was the speed that was the shocker, really, wasn't it?
It was just so rapid, yeah.
Yeah, awful. How are you coping?
I'm doing all right now.
How often did you used to go and see your mum?
Oh, every day.
Oh, blimey. Well,
every day. Every day, and I was in palliative care. She'd come out to Cramlington, the emergency hospital. We took her in there, and they basically said, there's nothing we can do anymore. She went into palliative care. Mm-hmm. They gave her 48 hours, but she lasted a week.
Right.
So she did. She did all right.
Blimey. Was the funeral okay? How did you cope? I bet you were a jelly.
It was hard, and all the family was there, and it was brilliant. It's still raw a little bit, Alan. It's just, I've never heard of motor neurons disease before.
Until
I've obviously I've heard of Stephen Hawking's, but I've never known anybody with the disease.
No.
And how it really terrible, horrible.
But I tell you, anybody that might think they've got carpal syndrome, you know, and there's a lot of people that have. Blame me, you don't even think it could lead to something like that.
No, definitely not.
Oh, terrifying.
She lost control of her right hand. We were like saying, you've got carpal tunnel syndrome, and then it was just straight to the RVI to take some tests, and that's what it was. And diagnosed in August and died in December. And
well, she's having a brand new adventure somewhere else right now, and hopefully
I hope so.
I hope she's having a damn good one too. I wish I were. Nicola, thank you for calling, sweetheart.
Thank you, Alan.
Love to you and the family. Thank you. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. And it's nobody can really it's because having lost my parents, nobody can really describe what it's like unless you've been there yourself. Because I didn't get on particularly. I wasn't super cushy with my parents, and yet when my dad died, I was absolutely lost. All the things I wanted to say that I couldn't say anymore, things I should have said and hadn't, the regrets that you have, and all that kind of thing. And when your mum goes, she's the one that nested you and raised you, and your safety net's suddenly gone. All you've got's an empty chair. It's a horrible place to be. 0191 488 3188. We have special guest Elvis Costello on the show. But before that, quick chat with Alison, who's in Anfield playing. Hello, Alison.
Hi there, Alan.
Hello. I gather it is a time to celebrate.
It is. I thought it would be really, really good if I could kick off this week with coming on to say happy birthday to Rob, my husband.
And how old is Rob?
He's going to be 50 on Thursday.
Oh, is he feeling it? Is he feeling the age? Because that's a big number.
He wanted to keep it really low-key. He wanted to keep it really quiet, not tell anybody, but unfortunately he's married to me.
So I would imagine there's probably balloons saying 50 hanging from your gate as we speak.
Oh, it's going to be a week of surprises.
Well, it should be, but mind you see, what he has to realise is that it's merely a number. He can treat it like, something that he carries about on his shoulders, or he can embrace it and say, no, this is going to be the greatest year of my life ever, and make a point of doing that. So you've got a lot of stuff lined up for him.
I have, yes. I've got things happening, from Wednesday to all the way through till next Monday. So
brilliant. Yeah,
there's lots of things happening. He's just kind of not into birthdays and things like that, and I think birthdays should be celebrated. Yeah. I think birthdays should be celebrated more than Christmas because it's like your day.
It is indeed. Well, it's his week.
Exactly, yes. And I think getting to 50, people go, I'm getting to 50. I'm like, yes, you've made it. Like, it should be celebrated.
Is he older than you?
He is, yes.
I know. I knew that was going to be the case. This is obviously a woman who's never hit that number yet, saying these things.
I can't wait. I'm 50 next year, and I want a massive party, and I want to just shout it from the rooftops.
Well, he's going to do better then. He's going to see what you do this time and better it when it's your turn.
Exactly, yeah. But I've already said to the family, I don't want them to organise my party. I want to do it myself because I want it how I want it.
Now I understand. Don't leave it to a man. No, that's disaster. He'll not invite. He'll invite all the wrong ones instead of inviting all the right ones. That's what happens. I don't want you to tell me in case he's listening. But have you got him something nice?
I have, yeah. I've got every present that I've bought him's got a lot of sentiment behind it. So it's all got a message. It's all got a story.
Oh, you big slobber. Sounds like you might even be lucky this week. There you go. Alison.
Yeah, you never know. Could be a very special week.
You never know. Fabulous. Hey, have a great time. Love to him. You didn't tell us what his name is, Ali.
It's Rob.
Oh, it's Rob. Of course it is. Rob,
yeah.
Happy 50th birthday.
He's a proper night owl convert now,
Oh, well,
so he
that's
absolutely
good
loves it. We sit and listen every Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's
So,
good,
yeah.
good to know. Thank you, Alison. Hey, well, have a great time and enjoy it.
Will do.
Thanks for coming on. Take care, Alan. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Alan. Bye.
Bye-bye. And how about that? Yes, lots of things to worry about. People worry too much about the whole number thing. As long as it's your health, stay healthy. Doesn't matter whether your age begins with a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. As long as you're healthy, try and keep a hold of that as long as you can.